Good morning.
Good morning. What's all this? Your results. Congratulations to all. I'm confident you'll all achieve your goals. So, young man, what are your aspirations?
I want to do robotics, ideally from the Bust Institute in the US.
And you, young lady?
Sir, I love kids and I would love to learn pediatrics. I feel Boston is the best place for that.
Sumit, what about you?
Back home to India for medicine.
Good. I'm sure you'll all achieve your aspirations, be it in India or anywhere. Keep in mind, your first challenge is the entrance, whether it's IIT,
JEE,
SAT, or NEET. You have to learn from the masters. Brilliant Qatar is the passport to your success.
We undertake coaching for regular and repeat batches and tuition for board examinations. Brilliant Education Centre, Doha, Qatar.
Good evening, dear children. Am I audible to everyone? All of you can hear me? Okay, perfect. So, I believe all of you are staying very confident and staying very positive. Like I said in the last live, I told you to keep your stress level so less and be confident about the subject and do your revisions effectively. So, yeah, I can see all of your responses. Great. So today we are going to do a session on the complete chapters in science. So I hope you all have that confidence now to face the board exam. So we will be moving through some of the most important and expected questions that you can get or that you will be getting in the upcoming board examination. So let's start. And during these questions, I'll be telling you what are the most common errors or the mistakes that you may commit during the exams while attempting these questions from those respective topics. Okay, all good? Yes, let's start. Okay, here you have question 1. Which eye likely to be the brightest light? Right, this is a question from Human Eye and Colorful World. Come on. Let me see how many of you can answer it. Okay, Rahul is saying it's option B. Come on, others. Samir is saying B. Okay, majority are saying B. Very good. You know that the intensity of the light, that is controlled by the pupil. And pupil in turn is controlled by the sphincter muscles of the iris, right? So if we are looking into a light which has very bright intensity or where there is too much of photons coming to your eyes, you should not let all those photons to enter inside because it will damage the lens. It will damage the retina. So it is controlled by the size of the pupil, right? So you know that when we have too much bright light, the pupil will be completely constricted. And if you have very less light or dim light, the pupil will be completely dilated, right? So you can see that among these 4 options, the smallest size for the pupil is in option B, right? So that will be the one which is corresponding to the brightest light, right? Perfect. Yes, most of you have given the correct answer. Those who have made it wrong, please remember that pupil will dilate in dim light and pupil will constrict in bright light. Simple. Okay, let's move on to the next question. The pH of gastric juice released during digestion is? It's a very important question. You know that in our alimentary canal, in our digestive system, the role of pH is very significant because most of the activation of enzymes is controlled directly by pH. For example, gastric juice, the juice produced in the stomach, the gastric epithelial lining has so many glands, as you know, and these glands, they secrete various substances like concentrated hydrochloric acid, then we have an inactive enzyme called pepsinogen, and then we have mucus. And you know that the enzyme pepsinogen is in an inactive form. So that pepsinogen has to be converted into an active enzyme called pepsin, then only we can have protein digestion taking place in stomach. And this activation requires a acidic pH. Usually that pH ranges from 1.7 to 1.8. And that's a highly acidic pH, and you know that it is because of the presence of concentrated hydrochloric acid. And you know from the values, as from the pH scale, it is very clear that if the pH is 7, it's neutral. If it is less than 7, it is acidic. And if it is more than 7, it is basic. So the right option will be less than 7. The pH has to be less than 7 for the activation of pepsin. Right. Okay, many of you have written the correct answer. Okay, perfect. Okay, by the way, can you all type in your comments what is the pH requirement in intestine? The activation of trypsinogen. What kind of pH does it require? Why I don't see any answers? Come on, guys, you know it. Stomach has an acidic pH and intestine has an alkaline pH. Approximately the pH requirement for trypsinogen activation is 8.5. That's slightly above the neutral value, that is close to alkaline, more than 7. Okay, perfect. Right. And I want to add one more point in this slide itself, which is a concept in acids, bases, and salts. You guys know that pH, the value of pH and hydrogen ion concentration is related. How is it related? pH of the medium is inversely proportional to the concentration of H plus ions or the concentration of hydronium ions. H plus or hydronium, both are same. So if the hydrogen ion concentration is very high, the pH is smaller or lesser. So it's a very important concept from the chapter acids, bases, and salts. Okay, perfect. Let's move on to the next question. We'll try to cover as many questions as possible. Okay, so I want your response really quick in the chat box. Okay, great. Reaction between X and Y forms compound Z. X loses electron and Y gains electron. Which of the following property is not shown by Z? So first thing is, in this question they are saying there are two elements X and Y and they are forming a compound Z. And X loses electron and Y gains electron. So you know that a compound formed by transfer of electrons between two elements will be an ionic compound, right? And the other one is called covalent compounds, where they share electrons. So this Z is going to be an ionic compound. So indirectly they are asking the properties of ionic compounds, right? As what you studied in the chapter acids, bases, and salts. Ionic compounds have very high melting point because ionic compounds are formed by the attraction of oppositely charged ions, and because of that their melting point is too high. You need really high amount of heat to break their crystal lattice. Then they have low melting point is actually wrong, because as I told you, the inter-ionic forces, which we call as the Coulombic forces of attraction, is too high in ionic compounds, and that's the reason why they have very high melting points. And then they conduct electricity in the molten state. That is true. In the pure solid state, they can't, because these ions are restricted to move from their spaces. So if you take a solid ionic crystal, they are not going to conduct electricity because ions are restricted. But if you put them in water or if you melt them, you can see that the ions are free to move. They have great ionic mobility, and because of that, they can conduct electricity. And then they occur as solid. Indeed, because solid is a state where which you get when the particles are closely packed and they have great amount of force of attraction. So obviously ionic compounds will have that existence in the solid state at room temperature. Okay, perfect. So this question is also clear to everyone. Great, great, great. Okay. Let's move on to the next one. The magnification produced by a rear view mirror fitted in vehicles is. Come on. You might have encountered this question so many times. I just want to check if all of you are giving the right answer for it. The magnification produced by a rear view mirror fitted in a vehicle is. You have studied that rear view mirrors that we use in vehicles, they should give you a broader field or a wider field, right? For that, we use what kind of lenses? Sorry, what kind of mirrors? Yes, we use a convex mirror for that purpose. And you know that for a convex mirror, no matter where you place the object in front of the convex mirror, the image is always formed virtual, right? It's behind the mirror and it's always smaller than the size of the object. So that's the advantage of using convex mirrors, because they cover a greater field and also they have a minimal size for all the images, right? And that's the reason why it is written on these mirrors that objects looks closer than they appear, right? Okay, so I think majority have given the right answer. Okay, perfect, perfect. Okay, great. So it is less than 1. Okay, it's clear to everyone. Yes, great, Samit. Great. The next question. The image shows the dispersion of white light in the prism. What will be the colors of the X, Y, and Z? So you know the phenomenon of dispersion, especially when you pass white light, which is having a spectrum of 7 wavelengths of light, right? We have Vibgyor. So in air, we know that all these light wavelengths are traveling at the same speed. But when they enter into a medium which has a different refractive index, they are going to refract. And each wavelength of light is going to refract to different extent, right? And you know that violet being the most frequent light, or the one which has the least wavelength, is going to bend the most. So we will see that if the white light splits, of the 7 colors, the one which bends the most will be violet, and the one which bends the least will be red. So that's the kind of arrangement. So looking at those options, we can see in option 1, it says X is green, Y is violet. Never. Violet will be bending more than green. So that's wrong. Then X is violet, Y is green, and Z is red. That's possible, right? Because X is violet, and then green, and then red. Red will be bending the least, and violet will be bending the most. So yes, that is going to be the answer. In the other 2 options, you can see X is given as red. Wrong, because X is not going to bend that much, right? It is the wavelength of light that bends the least. Okay, perfect. Let's move on to the next question. In an electrical circuit, 3 incandescent bulbs A, B, and C of rating 40 watt, 60 watt, and 100 watt respectively are connected in parallel to an electric source. Which one of the following is likely to happen regarding their brightness? So when you read that question, so many concepts that you have studied should rush through your brain at that time. In an electrical circuit, 3 incandescent bulbs. So all the bulbs are of the same kind. The bulbs that get heated when electricity is passed and the filament glows and produces light. That's called incandescent bulbs. And they have a rating of 40 watt, 60 watt, and 100 watt, and they're connected in parallel. That means, all of them are going to get the same voltage, right? In parallel circuits, you have studied that the voltage is going to be the same. And which one of the following is likely to happen regarding their brightness? So if they are of the same kind, the lumens that they produce will be based on their wattage, right? So a 100 watt is going to produce more bright light than a 60 watt, than a 40 watt. But a disclaimer here, this is applicable when the bulbs are of the same kind. because if you take a 100-watt incandescent bulb, it may produce less bright light than a lower wattage LED bulb. So here, since we don't have that situation here, all the bulbs are the same kind. All you have to look for is the power rating, right? So 100-watt bulb is going to produce more brighter light than 60 than 40. So let's go through the options. Brightness of all the bulbs is same? No, never. Brightness of bulb A will be maximum. That's wrong. A has a wattage of only 40 watt. Brightness of bulb B will be more than that of A. Yes, bulb B has a wattage of 60 watt. So that's going to consume electrical energy of 60 joules per second, whereas a 40-watt bulb is going to have 40 joules per second. So that statement is correct. Let's go through the next statements also. Brightness of bulb B will be more than that of A. That's wrong. Brightness of bulb B will be more than that of A, B. Yeah, yes, that is correct. Then brightness of bulb C will be less than that of B. So which is the right choice? Yes, I can see that the chat box is full of option C. Okay, great. Everyone is answering so confidently. Very happy to see that. Okay, perfect. Now, the next option, the next question. Danger signals are made in red color. Is it true? Is that assertion true? Danger signals are made in red color. That statement is correct. Well, the reason given is velocity of red light in air is maximum. So signals are visible even in dark. See, velocity of red light in air is maximum. That's a false statement, right? Because you guys know that violet, indigo, blue, green, yellow, orange, red, all of them are going to travel with the same speed, which is 3 into 10 raised to 8 meter per second in air. So that statement itself is wrong. And the reason why we keep danger signals with red color wavelength is because the red color wavelength is going to get scattered the least, isn't it? You guys have studied about the scattering intensity and the wavelength. There is a law that relates the scattering intensity with the wavelength. It's called the Rayleigh scattering rule. According to Rayleigh scattering, the intensity of scattering is inversely proportional to wavelength. What does that mean? It means that more the wavelength, lesser will be the intensity of scattering. So red light, being the least scattered light, can travel long distances, right? And that's the reason why we use them as danger signal lights. So this reason statement is wrong, but the assertion statement is correct. So the right choice is, yes, A is true, but R is false. Okay, more wavelength, less scattering. Yes, Fatima, very good. Okay, the next question. In the diagram shown below, a beam of light is traveling from inside a glass slab to air. Which of the marked paths will the ray of light take as it emerges from a glass slab? Come on, look at that picture. I hope you can clearly see that picture. There is a ray of light. Look at the incidence. It's incident from the glass slab and it's coming out. So you know that this is based on the refractive index. You have to check. See, glass slab has got more refractive index, or in other words, we can say that a glass slab has got more optical density than air. So you know that when a ray of light is going to move from a denser medium to a rarer medium, what should happen? It should bend away from the normal, right? It should bend away from the normal. So the normal is this line, which is drawn perpendicular at the point of incidence. And you can see this is the incident ray. So if the incident ray had not undergone any refraction, it would have gone straight. But here, you know that this is from denser to rarer medium, so it is going to bend away from the normal. So the only ray that is possibly correct in this picture as per the refractive index values is R. So I hope that concept is very clear. So the information that you have here is when a light travels from a rarer medium to denser medium, it bends towards the normal, whereas a light travels from a denser medium to rarer medium, it bends away from the normal. That is the concept that you're going to apply here. And the option is going to be, yes, R. Right. It's clear to everyone? Okay, great. Identify the phase of circulation which is represented in the diagram of heart given below. Arrows indicate the contraction of the chambers shown. So look at the phase here. You can see that these arrows are showing the contraction of the ventricles, and then you can see the direction of the blood getting pumped. So what phase is being explained here? So during the ventricular contraction, you know that the blood from the respective ventricles is going to get pumped upwards, right, against gravity. And where are they heading? One will be going to the lungs. For what? For undergoing oxygenation, because we have deoxygenated blood coming from the tissues and they're all in the ventricle, and they have to go into the lungs for oxygenation. And at the same time, on the other side, the left ventricle, we have oxygenated blood, and from there it has to go through the aorta into different parts of the body, right? So option A says blood transferred to the right ventricle and left ventricle simultaneously. No, that is not what is depicted here. Blood is transferred to lungs for oxygenation and is pumped into various organs simultaneously. That is correct, isn't it? Because blood is transferred to lungs for oxygenation. That is true because from the right ventricle, the deoxygenated blood is going to be pumped through the pulmonary artery, which is the only artery in the body that carry deoxygenated blood, and they go to the lungs. And at the same time, from the left ventricle, the pure blood, the oxygenated blood, will be pumped through the aorta into the different parts of the body. So that is the cycle what is seen in this phase. Specifically, this phase, what they are depicting here, is called as the ventricular systole, which is the contraction of the ventricles. So it's going to be option B. Right. You all know that this is a simultaneous event. It's not that, the one ventricle will be pumping and then the other will be staying ideal. It's simultaneous. Ventricles, first the atria contracts, the atria relax, then the ventricle contracts, then the ventricle relax. This is what is forming the complete cardiac cycle, isn't it? So in the whole cardiac cycle, we have 4 events: atrial systole, atrial diastole, ventricular systole, and ventricular diastole. Systole represents the phase of contraction and diastole represents the phase of relaxation, right? Perfect. Okay, most have given the correct answer, option B. I hope it is clear to everyone. Okay. Next, a light ray enters from medium A to medium B as shown in figure. The refractive index of medium B relative to A will be. See guys, again a question on refractive index. So from this, what we can understand is, based on a single concept, you see the diverse number of questions that they can ask. So when you are practicing at home, if you are still sitting and reading the theory from the textbook and trying to learn the topic, that's actually a false method of preparation. My recommendation at this point of time is you have to practice as many questions as possible. The diversity of the questions that you see is going to make you more and more confident, provided you know the underlying concept. See, for answering this question, all you need to understand is the same concept which I explained just before. What happens when a light moves from denser to rarer and rarer to denser, and also the formula of refractive index. So you can see that in this case, the light ray is moving from A to B. So this is the incident ray and this is the normal. So here what is happening? The incident ray was supposed to go like this if it had not undergone refraction, but instead it bent towards the normal. Correct? It is bending towards the normal. So what does that give, or what from that, what is your interpretation? What is your take from that particular behavior of the ray? We can say that if a ray is bending towards the normal, then that ray is moving to a denser medium from a rarer medium. Correct? That means refractive index of medium B is gonna be more than the refractive index of medium A. Simple, right? The value of refractive index of B will be more than that of A. And the question is, the refractive index of medium B relative to medium A. What does that mean? The relative refractive index of B with respect to A is NB by NA. So NB is more, NA is less. Numerator is more, denominator is less. So come on, what will be the answer? Since this is bigger and this is smaller, this value is going to be greater than 1. Is that clear? This value is going to be greater than 1. Have you all understood this? First thing is, we deciphered what is the behavior. Like, here the ray is moving from A and it is moving towards B. And the behavior of the ray is like, it is bending towards the normal. So if it is bending towards the normal, it is moving to a denser medium. So if it is moving to a denser medium, then the refractive index value of B is higher than that of A. So relative refractive index of B with respect to A, NB by NA, is going to be greater than 1. Is this clear? Is this clear to all of you? Okay, may I ask one more question in this? Suppose, if I have a wavelength of light traveling through A and B, can you tell me in which medium the light will be traveling with the least velocity or the least speed? In which medium will the light travel with lesser speed? Yes, for that, the single concept that you have to remember is refractive index is inversely proportional to velocity, right? Refractive index of a medium is inversely proportional to the velocity. So if the refractive index is high, the velocity is going to be less. So in a denser medium, the light will be traveling with lesser speed than in a rarer medium. Is that clear to everyone? Okay, perfect. Medium B. Okay, great. So let's move on to the next one. The figure given alongside shows a schematic plan of blood circulation in humans with the labels 1 to 4. Identify the correct label with its function. So let me just take that picture and then we will see the options later. I want you to identify each of them. Look at this. This is the heart, and then we have the lungs here, and then we have the tissues here. So between the heart and the lungs, we have a systemic path of circulation, and between the heart and the lungs, we have the pulmonary pathway, right? So based on this, we can understand, or we can look into all those blood vessels which is represented here. So what is going to be 1? Tell me, what is 1? It shows that it is a blood vessel that is bringing blood into the left atrium of the heart from the lungs, correct? So what blood vessel is that? The blood vessel that brings oxygenated blood from lungs to the left side of the heart. That's going to be pulmonary vein, isn't it? So this 1 is pulmonary vein, and its function is to carry oxygenated blood from the lungs into the left atrium. What is 2? What is this blood vessel called 2? What is the blood vessel marked as 2? Yes, here you can see that the blood vessel is leaving the heart and it's moving towards the tissues. So definitely that vessel should carry oxygenated blood, and it is going to deliver that oxygenated blood into different parts of the body. So it's going to be the largest artery in the body, aorta and its branches, right? Okay, perfect. And then the third one is, The third one shows the blood is leaving the heart into the lungs. For what? For doing oxygenation, right? Getting rid of the carbon dioxide and exchanging it with oxygen in the alveoli. So that is done by pulmonary artery, which is the only artery that carry impure blood in the body, right? And then the fourth one shows the blood is moving from the tissues into the heart. So this has to be impure blood or deoxygenated blood, which is carried from different parts of the body and emptied into the heart with the help of the great veins of the body, which are the vena cava. Okay, perfect. So you read the options now. Option A says pulmonary vein is one and takes impure blood from body part. That description is wrong, isn't it? It is pulmonary vein, but the description is wrong. It is not carrying impure blood from the body part. It is carrying pure blood from the lungs to the heart. Then second one says pulmonary artery. Is this pulmonary artery? No, it's aorta, right? So that is also wrong. Then the third one says aorta. The third one says aorta takes blood from heart to body parts. See, this blood vessel is looking like, it's going to the lungs. So it has to be pulmonary artery. And then the last option is vena cava, takes blood from body parts to the right auricle. The fourth one is vena cava, that is true. And it is carrying impure blood from the body parts and it is emptying into the right side of the heart. So which option is correct? The description best fits for option D. Option D. Okay, great. Yes, Samir, An, Shabnur, Fatima. Okay, great to see your response. Pravina. Yes, perfect, perfect. Keep up that spirit and continue answering. Come on, you have a question coming up from electricity. A metallic wire of resistance 12 ohm is bent to form a square. The resistance between the two diagonal points would be a wire of resistance 12 ohm. So assuming, we have a straight wire which is having a resistance of 12 ohms. This wire is bent to form a square. This wire is bent to form a square. So if this wire is formed into a square and they're asking the resistance between two diagonal points. So let's take this point and this point. Let's call it A and B. So what is the resistance between the two diagonal points taken here? That is a question. So you can see that the whole wire of 12 ohm resistance is bent into a square, which means it will have four sides and each of them will have how much resistance? Yes, it will be 3 ohm each, right? So this is going to be 3 ohm, this is going to be 3 ohm, this is going to be 3 ohm, this is going to be 3 ohm. Now they are asking what is the resistance across the two diagonal points A and B. So if you take this as a circuit with resistors, different resistors, it looks like this. There is a resistance of 3 ohm here, there is another resistance of 3 ohm here, there is another resistance of 3 ohm here, and there is another resistance of 3 ohm here, correct? So you can see that these two guys are in series. So 3 ohm and 3 ohm is going to give you 6 ohm because in series the resistances get added up, isn't it? And this 3 and this 3 is also in series, so that's going to be 6 ohm. And the net resistance now seems like this. The net resistance now seems like this. This is 6 ohm, this is 6 ohm. So it seems like between these 2 points, there are 2 6 ohm resistors connected in parallel. So if you have 2 equivalent resistors connected in parallel, the net resistance will be half of them, isn't it? The net resistance will be half of them. You know that 1 by Rp is equal to 1 by R1 plus 1 by R2. You don't even need this formula also. You can just understand that, if equivalent resistances, 2 of them are connected in parallel, the net resistance is going to be half of them. So 6 ohm and 6 ohm in parallel. What will be the net resistance? Yes, yes. Now I am getting the answers. Okay, great. So it's going to be option D, 3 ohms. I hope it is clear to everyone. Yes. Maybe people call these are HOD questions. I would call these are logical questions. You just need to apply the concept that you have learned and, work really smart. You don't have to write down the formula and then calculate all of them. Visualize it in your mind and then answer it. Because it's an MCQ and this is where you can save a lot of time for the descriptive questions. Yes. Okay, great. So, shall we move on to the next one? Okay. The next question is, greater number of individuals are present in lower trophic levels. Is it true? The food chain, that's what you need to remember. You know that a food chain starts with producers and the producers are consumed by the primary consumers, then we have the secondary consumers, then we have the tertiary consumers and the quaternary consumers, right? So in every trophic level, we see that there is a flow of food energy. And by the way, in most of the ecosystems, you have seen that the food chain pyramid, the pyramid of number is like this. So we have the producers or the first trophic level here. Then we have the second trophic level here, the third trophic level, the fourth trophic level. So as we advance to the higher and higher trophic levels, the number of individuals is very less. For example, if you consider a grassland ecosystem where you have a grasses which is eaten by grasshoppers, which is eaten by a frog, which is eaten by a snake, and a snake is eaten by a bird, an eagle. So in that ecosystem, the most number of individuals are the grasses, right? The number of grass is more. So in any general food chain, we can see the greater number of individuals are present in the lower trophic levels. That statement is correct. And the reason given is the flow of energy is unidirectional. The flow of energy is unidirectional. See, in an ecosystem, in a food chain, we know that the energy from sun, it is trapped by the producers, and the producers then transfer it to the next trophic level. From the next, it goes to the next, and so on. So it keeps moving in one direction. There is never inverted food pyramids exist. Yes, inverted food pyramids do exist, but you don't have those exceptional cases coming up. But if you are going to take biology in 12th grade, in 11th and 12th, there is a chapter where you are going to study about ecosystem and its functioning, and you will be learning all those different types of pyramids, the pyramid of number, the pyramid of energy, biomass, all those things are going to come. But as a 10th standard student, for now, you can study it like this, or you can remember that there is more number of individuals in the base. That means producers are more. Is it clear? Right. So the flow of energy is unidirectional is a correct statement. But that is not the correct reason for the greater number of individuals present in lower trophic levels. See, the maximum energy is obtained for the producers. That's why, they have more reproductive fitness, and that's why they are increasing in their number. So the reason statement is a true statement, but it is not related to the assertion statement. So we can go with the option B, which is both assertion and reason are true, and R is not the correct explanation of the assertion. Okay, all of you are giving option B. Great. So I think today in the Mentee, there will be a tough competition. Let's see who is going to be the winner today. I want this speed also. The speed and agility, that is what is required today. So let's wait. Okay, let's move on to the next question. A conducting wire carries 10 raised to 21 electrons in 4 minutes. What is the current flowing through the wire? Again, a very important question, I would say, from the chapter electricity. We have two concepts to be applied here. One is, the concept of quantization of charge. That means the amount of charge is equal to the number of electrons flowing into the charge of each electron. Q is equal to N into E, isn't it? Q is equal to N into E. So this is quantization concept of charge, right? And also we have the charge is related to the current and the time flowing. current is the rate of flow of charge. That means if you have a wire through which Q amount of charge is flowing in a particular time, then the amount of current I is equal to Q by T, or Q is equal to IT. So we can make use of this equation here. Since Q is equal to NE and IT, we can write I into T is going to be N into E, right? And you know that charge of an electron is minus 1.6 into 10 raised to minus 19 coulombs, right? This is the charge of an electron, 1.6 into 10 raised to minus 19 coulombs. So they are asking what is the current flowing. So it's going to be NE by T. N is the number of electrons, which is 10 to the power 21, and E is 1.6 into 10 raised to minus 19 divided by the time for which it is flowing is 4 minutes. But minute is not an SI unit of time, right? So we have to convert it into the SI unit, that is seconds. So that's going to be 4 into 60 seconds. Correct? So we can write this as this is 10 raised to 20 into 16. 16 by 4 is 4 times. Divided by 60 is 15. 20 minus 10 is 10 divided by 15. So that's going to be 2 divided by 3. 2 divided by 3 is 0.6 times 6. So we can take 0.67 amperes. Do we have 0.67 amperes in the question? No, we don't have. But we can round it off to the nearest value, right? Approximately, that's going to be 0.7 amperes. So this is the amount of current that is flowing through a wire if 10 raised to 21 electrons are moving through the wire in 4 minutes time. Right. So two concepts. One is the quantization of charge. The charge flowing is an integral multiple of the basic electronic charge. And the second concept, Q is equal to I into T. Okay, perfect. So it is 0.7 ampere. Clear to all? I can see some of you have given wrong answers, and I hope it is a calculation mistake, not a formula error. Yes. I think the one C gave us. See, guys, put up your proper name so that I can call you and appreciate your responses. I can see some weird names here: Crazy Gamers, Potato, French Fries. What is this? You all have very nice names. So come up with your real name. Okay, the next one. Study the following ray diagram. So again, we have a prism and the ray of light is moving through it. So we have to identify in this diagram the angle of incidence, angle of emergence, angle of deviation respectively. So I'm going to zoom into the picture a little bit. Guys, look here. The incidence is from the right side. So look at this. This is the incident ray. This is the incident ray. And then it is coming out through here. So this is going to be the emergent ray, right? And the line drawn perpendicular to the point of incidence and also at the point of refraction here, these are the normal. Okay, now it's very easy. Come on. The incident ray is making an angle with this normal. That angle is what is called as angle of incidence, correct? So this angle is going to be angle of incidence. One common mistake that may happen is selecting the wrong angle. You will see the incident ray here and you suddenly noticed Q here, and you are more likely to select Q for incident ray. So please be careful with that. Incident ray is the angle that the incident angle is the angle that the incident ray makes with the normal. So this is the angle of incidence, and then we have the emergent ray coming up here, and it is making an angle with this normal. So Y is going to be the angle of emergence. Angle of emergence. And then they are asking the angle of deviation as well. So what is angle of deviation? Angle of deviation is the angle that the incident ray makes if it had not been refracted through the prism, right? So if this incident ray was going straight, it would have gone like this. So this angle which it makes with the emergent ray, that angle is known as the angle of deviation. So this much is the angle that it got deviated. The angle between the emergent ray and the incident ray if it had not been refracted. So if it had not been refracted, this would be the path of incident ray. But after refraction, it is this the path of this is the path of the emergent ray. So this angle that it makes is called as the angle of deviation. Is that clear? And by the way, if there is one more angle, which is the angle of prism here. I hope it is clear to everyone. Yes. So what is the correct option? P is the angle of incidence, Y is the angle of emergence, and Z is the angle of deviation. So it's going to be option C. Okay. Be very careful. I can see there are still some students have made it wrong. Don't rush. Read, focus, and then answer. Okay, perfect. Let's move on to the next one. Figure shows a ray of light as it travels from medium A to medium B. The refractive index of medium B relative to medium A is. Again, you see a concept related to refraction and refractive index. So in this question, it is very clear that the ray is moving from A to B. And they are asking what is the refractive index of B with respect to A. So refractive index of B with respect to A is going to be, as per the Snell's law, we can apply sin I by sin R. Right? Sin I by sin R. Sine of angle of incidence. What is angle of incidence here? This is the incident ray and this is the normal. So the angle of incidence is going to be 60 degree, right? So I will write sine of 60 degree as the angle of incidence. And then I have sine of R. What is R? R is the angle of refraction. So this is the refracted ray and it is making an angle with the normal. How much? 45 degrees. So that's going to be the angle of refraction, right? So it's sine of 45 degree. Right. So here comes, sine 60 and sine 45. I know that, you are all pro at trigonometry. Come on. What is sine of 60? Root 3 by 2. And sine of 45 is 1 by root 2. So that will become root 3 into root 2 divided by 2. So in the denominator, I can write 2 as root 2 into root 2. So root 2 gets cancelled. So what is our final answer? It's going to be the root 3 by root 2. That is the value of the refractive index. Is it clear to all? Did you understand this numerical? Okay, don't tell that, we didn't study sine of angles in physics. You don't have to. That's the whole point of studying the different subjects in one grade. You always have to have that interdisciplinary approach where you treat every subject together and learn. That's how you test your brain and develop your brain. Yeah, by the way, that's one of the most commonly asked question I always get. Like students ask, sir, we are not going to apply all these things in our life. Why are we studying civics? Why are we studying social? Why are we studying economics? Why are we studying languages? Why are we studying science, maths, and all this? See, it's not about whether you apply or not. See, at your age, your brain is developing, and you have to keep, pushing it to the limits. For that, you are feeding more informations, you are interpreting, you are analyzing. Different subjects have different roles. See, be it in social or geography, you are memorizing things, so you are improving your memory skills. In maths, you have your numerical skills, your analytical skills. In physics, you have interpretations. Chemistry, you are learning. All these subjects are for a cause, and that cause is nothing but developing your brain. And you're learning so many things at once. So you are challenging yourself that, okay, in future, if I get a challenge, or if I have a overdose of some, a really stressful work, I can do it because I'm trained to. That's the reason why you are given with all these subjects. So don't do any discrimination to all these subjects. Treat all the subjects equally, love them, and then after you finish your 12th grade, graduate in a discipline where you want to excel, and then in your post-graduation, again narrow down your study area, and then in your postdoctoral studies, again narrow down, and then become a professional. That's the way how you should do it. Right. Yes, even languages also. How do you think you communicate? You know all the science and maths, but what if you are not able to communicate with people? What if you are not able to give a presentation in front of an audience, or you go to a job interview and you are not able to communicate with the interview people? What is the use of graduating from an IIT or an AIMS if you don't have this communication skill? So in my opinion, the first thing that you should have is a great communication skills and a social interaction personality. That's what you should have. And then only rest all things comes, like academics and all. Right. Perfect. So let's jump on to the next question. In a synapse, chemical signal is transmitted from. Don't forget history. Okay, I want. History is also important. In a synapse, chemical signal is transmitted from. Come on, guys. What will be the answer for this question? Synapse is the junction between two neurons, or maybe a neuron and a target organ like a muscle or a gland. And in every synaptic junction, we have a presynaptic neuron and a postsynaptic neuron. The neuron before the synapse is called presynaptic neuron, and the neuron after the synapse is called as postsynaptic neuron. So you know that when the electrical impulse travels through the axon, it's going to make the synaptic vesicles burst, and they go and fuse with the axonal membrane, and they release all the neurotransmitters that they have inside. And then these neurotransmitters are released into the space of the synapse, and from the space they are going to bind to their respective receptors present on the postsynaptic neuron, or maybe on the target organ like a muscle or a gland, and they bring out an action. So here they're asking the synapse chemical signal is transmitted from. It's always from the axonal end into the dendritic end of the next neuron, correct? So which is the right choice? Dendritic end of one neuron to axonal end of another neuron, that's wrong. Axon to cell body, that's wrong. Cell body to axonal end, wrong. So it's always from axonal end of one neuron to dendritic end of another neuron. So it's option D. The phenomena which occur are, come on, an acid added to water. Acid added to water. So we have acid like HCl. When you add into water, what is going to happen is, it is going to ionize into H plus and Cl minus ions. Any acid is going to do the same, right? And you know that this is just a proton. So this proton is unstable in aqueous solutions. So what will happen? This proton is going to take cover under a molecule of water, and that is going to form hydronium ion, or HCO plus ion, hydronium ion. So this hydronium ion is present in solution every time when you have acid added to water. So option A says dilution. That is true because you are adding water. So it's going to dilute the acid. Neutralization, that's wrong. Formation of H3O, that's correct. Salt formation, that's wrong. So the correct statements are, come on, the option is A and C, right? So option A is the right choice. Option A is the right choice. Clear to all? Okay, perfect. Everyone is saying A. Let's move on to the next question. Come on, guys. Easy. Ethanoic acid is also known as glacial acetic acid. The reason given, melting point of pure ethanoic acid is 290 Kelvin, and hence it often freezes during winters in cold climates. Yes, that's one property of ethanoic acid, right? It freezes into a glacier-like mass because of its very low melting point. So both the statements are correct about ethanoic acid, and in fact, that description perfectly fits for the assertion statement. So we have the answer as both A and R are true, and R is the correct explanation of A. Okay, perfect. All of you have answered. Come on, look at the next one. An ant in front of a convex lens is shown below. So which of the following image is correct? So you can see that there is a convex lens, and that convex lens, in front of the convex lens, we have an ant, and that ant is present in between the optic center and the focus. Yes, optic center and the focus. So what kind or what will be, or where will be the image formed? You know that in the case of convex lens, if you place the object in between the optic center and focus, the image will be formed on the same side. It's a virtual image, it's going to be an erect image, and it's enlarged. So this looks smaller, this looks inverted, this is inverted. This is the image which is probably, or which is correct among all these four options. It will be C, because the ant will look bigger and it will be virtual and erect. It's not inverted. Yes. Now look at the next question. I think our today's time is over. Anyway, we will be continuing this session. I have few more interesting questions to discuss. I will be continuing this in another session. So now we have to move on to the Mentee, which is inevitable. So let's jump into the quiz. So I hope you can see the code pinned in the YouTube comment section. At high temperature, metallic wires have greater chance of short circuiting. Yeah, that's true. Because resistance increases with temperature, so there will be more heating also. Yeah, by the way, in the meantime, if you while you join for this Mentee, I want to add one more point. Like, after the last, when the last session was over, at that time I told you that your thoughts are going to create your reality. So some students texted me and asked, like, how is it? How can our thoughts change our reality? So I want you guys to look into my screen on a video and answer the question based on what I'm telling you. Okay, you can see that there is a train moving. So in your head, keep saying that the train is moving in the backward direction. Keep saying that in your mind. The train is moving in the backward direction. If you keep on saying that, you will be seeing that the train is moving in the backward direction. And you keep saying that the train is moving in the forward direction, and keep observing. Keep saying this, keep telling it to your mind, keep commanding that it is moving in the forward direction, and then focus. Those who have done it as per what I said, you might have already experienced it. Those who have taken it for fun, I don't know whether you got the result or not. I'm not sure, but this is actually going to work. It is going to change the direction based on the command. In social media and all, you will see optical illusion and all those stuff. But I'm trying to relate this to what really happens. Like, when you keep commanding or when you keep giving affirmations, that there is more chance that, it's going to happen. And your body is reacting according to that. See, a simple example is when you are walking through a dense forest and let's say, your friend is behind you and you don't know that he's there and he's hiding in the forest, and then he's playing a sound of a lion through a speaker. Suppose you were not aware of that situation, you will start running and you will have an adrenaline rush. You are going to have an adrenaline rush at that moment when you hear the sound of the lion, right? Because you already told that this is, or you have already previous experiences that this sound is lion and it's a ferocious animal, it's going to attack. But what if you are completely aware of the situation that, your friend is pranking you? You're prepared for it and you don't have any adrenaline rush, right? That's what I'm telling you. This is what is exactly happening while you encounter with these situations. When you are ready, or when you tell your body that it's going to happen, it is going to happen. When you tell your body that it is not going to happen, it is never going to happen. This works, but for an amateur it won't work. You need to be very strong. You need to be focused. You need to have a lot of attention into each and every habit that you are forming every day. So with practice you will master this, right? So let's move on to the quiz. I think almost all have joined. I'm going to start the quiz. So the first question on your screen, come on guys, let's do it really quick. Please look into your screen. Okay, come on, I'm waiting for your response. Q. Okay, so let's move on to the next question. So 26 people have given the right answer. Second question on your screen, come on. Yes, so the response, 31 correct responses. Okay, let's move on to the next. Okay, before that, let's have a look into the leaderboard. So, okay, Karnika is on the top. Let's move on to the third question quickly. We have very less time. It's already 7:46. So please play fast. Please mark your responses fast. Yes, with the increase, there will be too much of heating also produced. That is the reason. Okay, the next question on your screen. Okay, most of you have answered. Come on, there are a few more. Quickly. I think you will make some mistakes in this. Yeah, as predicted. Only 24 people have made this question correct. I have included these questions in the discussion, so don't worry. In the next class, we'll be discussing all this. The next question. Yes. 29 have answered. Come on, all of you can answer it quickly. It's a very easy question. Again, only 17 people have made it correct. The last question. On your screen. Come on, guys, the last question. "17 seconds, 16 seconds, 15. Okay. So, only 12 people. See, I know what went wrong here is, you didn't get enough time to answer the question. That is exactly what I want, because this is going to increase your competency. See, if I give ample time to all of you, you might have made all these questions correct. Congratulations, Karnika. You have been really fast and you answered most of the questions correct. Arpendu, still, you just have to be a little more quick. So anyway, that was the Mentee today, and all the questions that we did in this Mentee will be covered in the next session during our discussion. At that time, I'll be clearing all your doubts. So since we don't have much time, I am concluding this session. We'll be coming up with the in the next session. We'll be continuing this discussion. Okay, guys. So see you guys. Let's wait for the next session after 10 minutes. Okay, see you all. Right.